Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to the Finding Peace Within podcast. I am your host, Ms. Lisa L. Dalton. Now, the Finding Peace Within podcast was created to help you find your authentic self through spiritual awareness. And how do you do that? You do that by studying the Word of God, doing the necessary work that you need to do to find your peace within. It is a journey, may I say that. Now, if this is your first time visiting the podcast, I want to say welcome. If you are a repeat guest, welcome back. If you would like to connect with me on all social media outlets, I say this, just Google my name, Lisa L. Dalton, and you will find me there. You can find my website, findingpeacewithin.org, and on the website, you can find my books, you can find previous podcasts, you can go back and listen to all my Lisa 6 and 3s, which are my morning motivations that I post on all my social media outlets, which gives you a little hope for the day, gives you a little hope for today. I want you to get your pens and your pads as we take this journey to finding peace within together.
There are different, obviously, levels of help that we need that a lot of people are just not equipped to handle.
Right.
Because I'm still dealing with all the of course, the physical and the emotional and the mental abuse that I didn't get help for. And I don't have any real skills.
Right.
I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to drive a car. And so I'm just too much of a liability.
Right.
So because unlike my sister, which later on, Jean, who I call Jean, unlike her, who was able to stay with her family and she was able to graduate high school and she went on to college after that, and she knew she wanted to be a nurse, so she became a nurse, and right after college, she moved to Georgia with Gail. And so she just obviously hit the ground running because she knows, what she wants to do. But I have so many issues that I need to deal with.
Right.
So it just wasn't easy for me just to come here and be like, okay, hey, I'm going to just, get all this stuff taken care of. But so I needed someone who had the patience and the love to be able to understand, like, okay, you know what? I want you here. And that's what Jessie was to me. She really wanted me there.
Right.
And she just took me and Kiki in, and it was just such a beautiful blended family because her adopted daughter and Kiki became really close, and I knew she was in a safe place, so I was allowed to work and do what I need to do, and I could just feel myself, okay, now I'm making some leeway. I can really focus on getting myself together. And of course,
she bought you a car.
She did. And just as I'm about to, make some strides, of course. Yeah.
And then Miss Jessie passes. Yeah. Yeah. Do you still get emotional about it?
I do, because we just had so many plans. And she just said, you know what, Joe, she called me Joe. She said, you know what, you can just stay here for as long as you want. You don't ever have to leave.
Yeah.
And for someone who don't really know me, and then when we became so close, she shared something that happened with her, a situation where she was molested,
right,
and she had never told anyone. So I was opening up to her, and just to have someone who genuinely cares about you. So even if I'm at work, I knew every day she would just call me and she'd be like, hey, babe, I just can't see how you doing. How's work? And she was like, what do you want to eat today? And it was just things that just so simple that I just felt like, wow, nobody has ever cared that much about me. And so I just wanted to be successful financially so that I could just give back, somehow
Mhm.
just give back to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that never happened, obviously.
She gave you that family that you
Mhm.
saw with the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even with the Jeffersons, I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't have much, but they had each other.
Mhm.
They had family and they were there, and you never experienced that,
Right,
having your
right.
own room, a
Yeah,
bed,
yeah.
not having to worry about what you're gonna eat. You didn't have to sell
Right,
your body for food,
right, right.
so, life was on the lookup for you at that
Uh-huh.
point,
Mhm.
and then she
Mhm.
dies. And then we're in chapter 6. She said, refuse to inherit dysfunction. Learn new ways of living instead of repeating what you lived through,
Mhm.
by Thelma Davis. Why did you put that in the book?
Because that's exactly where I was headed, and that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I was doing. And I felt like it was my responsibility to end that cycle,
Mm-hmm.
because that's exactly what it was. Once I started reading and seeing what other people had gone through, um, and then going back and looking back, like, okay, you know what? This is just an ongoing cycle of dysfunction. It's been passed down.
Had you started being abusive to Kiki at that point?
Not at that point. It
Well,
it, it was it was I did while
it
I
wasn't
was.
later. It wasn't too long
It
after
wasn't too
that.
no, it wasn't too long after that. You're right. It wasn't too long after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she got in trouble
Uh-huh.
and you asked her. She said she came in the house limping and crying that she had hurt her foot. You said,
Uh-huh.
"What's wrong with you?" You said, "I was running and fell." And you said, "Why in the hell were you out there running around? Why couldn't you just stand your butt still?" We were
Mm-hmm.
playing hide and seek. I tripped over a rock and fell. I tell you what, you gonna hide and seek your butt to school tomorrow, I told her. I'm paraphrasing. It
Yeah.
hurts, Mom. I can't walk on it, Kiki said through lots of tears. Girl, ain't nothing wrong with your foot. You get on, but you cussed at her. You
Uh-huh.
get on my
Uh-huh.
nerves. Shut up. And so you now have become what you never wanted to be.
Yes. Yes. And I
You,
said, and there's a
yeah.
part before when I left when my mom was staying with Mr. Billy, and I came and got Kiki, and I told her
Mm-hmm.
I would never ever talk to my daughter the way she talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
But
said when she came home from school, her foot was so swollen. I had to take her to the emergency room. The x ray showed her foot was broken. Instead of
mhm,
apologizing and consoling her, I
mhm,
used it to curse her out and
mhm,
beat her for having an accident. I accused her
mhm,
of trying to sabotage me.
mhm.
I remember telling Bert I would never treat my daughter the way she
Yeah.
treated me. Here I was
Mhm,
acting more like Bert than she was herself. I felt
mhm,
an adrenaline rush and rage.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
I wrote here, how could you be yourself when you really didn't know who you were?
Right. Right. And then too, there are people who don't who have been abused, who don't abuse their
That's
children.
true.
You know, it was just all the just everything I felt like I was working towards, and then I just felt like, okay, now here's this, not realizing, okay, things are going to happen, life
Yeah.
is going to happen.
Mhm.
And I just felt like, okay, somebody is out to get me. Like every time I feel like I'm making progress, something happens. Because obviously when that happens, you got to take time off from work,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
and you're missing money. So
Mhm.
and people, of course, we black, it's probably some white folks too, but more black folks, we joke about our parents beating us with, switches and,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
broomsticks and shoes
Yeah.
and leather belts and whatever. And we joke about it, but it's abuse.
It's the beauty.
It's abuse. It's abuse.
I
We
got a
normalize it.
I still got the whip, the, the nails in my side, my hands and the piercing on my side. Jesus, to
Yeah.
show, to remind me not to act up, but no, to remind
Yeah.
me of the abuse
Yeah.
that we went through. You wrote, I once heard a man say the most dangerous place for a child is with his mother because she has total control.
Mm.
Truer
Yeah.
words were never spoken.
That's so true. And
That
that is
is
so
so
true.
true. Yeah.
I did not understand that at the time, but yeah, there was just a
Mm,
story. Well, this was 4 years ago, and now they're just finding out that it was the mother. Well, they found the mother who abandoned her baby in a plastic bag, had the baby in a plastic bag. Luckily, sheriff found her, and she was alive. Was it a he or she? I think it was a girl, but she was alive, and the baby's doing well. They're with, I'm assuming, a foster parent, but they just found out 4 years later that it was the mother. They found the mother because at the time they just didn't know whose baby it was.
right, right.
And yeah, so yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
Chattahoochee Tech
Chattahoochee Tech. Yeah, Chattahoochee Tech.
was offering a program for single moms to go, and
Uh-huh.
you enrolled in this program
Yeah.
in business management.
Uh-huh.
And this didn't end up well for you either.
No.
Y'all, it's almost like Joe had a sex magnet on her. Anybody want to mess with y'all? Just want to escapade. Here I am. But that's not what you was doing then. You were really
Mhm.
trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Go to
Right.
school. Talk to us about what happened at the school.
So yeah, Chattahoochee Tech was it was a 2 year college where they had a program for it was actually for single parents and displaced homemakers, and so they
Mhm.
wanted to obviously get people back in school and get them in a career. And I found out about the program, and I enrolled in business management, and the goal was to transfer to a 4 year university.
Mhm.
Once I completed the associate's degree, I would go to a 4 year university. So, and then once again, my love for reading, I was just trying to find something that I could study that would give me a career that I enjoy doing. But I just kind of had no idea. I love obviously reading. I love writing, and throughout from that up to that point, I had already had the idea that I was going to write a book. So that's what I was going to focus on was, yeah, English, and focus on creative writing.
And he said
That was a
he
woman
says
though that said that.
that it was a woman. She
Yeah.
said, "I know you read very well, but you're not a writer."
Right.
I heard what she said and I felt what she said. Her words
Mhm.
stung the same as when Bert told me I was stupid and when Harry
Uh-huh.
told me school had played out.
Laid out. Uh-huh.
Once
Yeah.
again, you're trying to move forward and there is
Right.
somebody is trying to stop you from moving.
Right. Right.
Once
Yeah.
again, going
Once again.
forth in your career. And here we
Yeah.
go again.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I want to fast forward. It's not a fast forward. Next chapter 7. Sometimes your heart needs more time to accept what your mind already knows.
Uh,
Wow.
uh-huh.
Because you want to believe so bad
Uh-huh.
in your heart, but you
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah.
And these are captions that Joe put in the book before each
Mhm.
right up under each chapter, which kind of
Mhm.
segues into
What is, yeah.
what that chapter is about.
Right.
Um, Talk to me. I think I missed one of your relationships in
You
between.
missed a lot of.
I know it's just I'm telling you, y'all gotta just get the book. It's a it's a lot of relationships. Joe was looking for love in all the
The
wrong
wrong
places. It's too many faces. Ah, Darren, Darren,
Oh my God.
Darren. Darren was the one that was in jail.
In
Joe
prison.
in prison, not jail, but prison, because
Prison.
Sean was in prison and
Mm-hmm.
he was Sean's, was he
Celly. We call him
I'm
Celly,
gonna
the
say I'm
cellmate.
gonna say roommate. He was they weren't paying rent. We was paying the rent. Well, wherever he was, they was paying the rent because they was in prison. So
Yeah.
Joretta, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell y'all. I don't know what Joe was thinking, but I was like, dang, Joe. Joe falls in love. What's that show that got the dating jail people? So Joe falls in love with the prisoner.
Yeah.
Tell us about Darren.
Girl.
At least you didn't have no baby with him.
No, there was never an opportunity to do that.
I bet you if you could have sat on his lap, he would have let you. I'm just saying. Y'all, this show is for adults. I'm about to put a censorship.
It is. But yeah, so Sean is in prison. I get a call from Sean and he's in prison. And then as we talk
Oh no, hold on for a second. I gotta read this. I thought because you met Sean. Hello,
yeah.
Darren. I asked, yeah, this is Darren. This is Joretta. How are you? I'm good now. I finally got a chance to talk to you. How are you? I thought I was going to pass out. Darren sounded even better than he looked. His voice was sexy, warm, melodic, and smooth. Why did he have to be in prison? I'm like, he had already reeled me in with the letters. Smooth operator in prison.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
old was Darren?
yeah. He went in when he was
He been in all, and he had
he
life.
he had already been in for a few years and he went in when he was 19, so he couldn't have been no more than about 21, 22, maybe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
y'all, check this out. I'm serving an 85-year sentence. What the what? 85 years.
25 years.
I got to get the name of that show.
85. 85.
And you said, how many people did you kill?
Oh my goodness.
How many people did you kill? He said, I was charged with first-degree burglary for robbing a
Mhm.
jewelry store after midnight.
Yeah.
There was a string of burglaries during that time that were never
Mhm.
solved. So they just told me, y'all, they just put them all on me.
Yeah,
Ugh,
that's what they say, right?
that's what they say. And I pleaded and they offered me a plea of 50 years and I turned it down. So they gave me 85. But Joe, tell us how foolish you should be on Dr. Phil. Women giving money to men in
Yeah.
prison.
And it's still happening to this day. That's why they got a whole show called
That
Life After Lockup, where
life
these
after
women,
lockup, that's the
yeah,
show. Life after life
yeah,
during
yeah. I
lockup.
mean, they got these men now where they have an actual website where like a dating site for men and women too that want to women who want to date men in prison. Yeah.
But you ended up breaking up with Darren. Thank
Uh,
you.
oh yeah.
Because y'all, thank God y'all never had relations.
Right, but you know he got out. He got out. He did get out.
For on good behavior.
I
So
don't know.
but not while y'all was together.
No, not no. That's what I'm saying. No,
But
not
he
while we were together.
eventually got
But
out.
that's what he was trying to convince me that he was going to get out one day. But I didn't think the one day was going to be 30, 40 years later. I was
But
like, oh,
you came to your senses and you said, okay,
I can't do this. Oh, I
yeah,
can't do this.
I can't do this. And
Mm-mm.
then let me see.
You know, that reminds me. I just saw something on the news about 3 months ago where this lady met a man in prison, and I think he went in on a murder charge. And they're saying that he's innocent, which we know that a lot of people are innocent. That's why they have
Right,
these
right.
innocent projects now where they can get people out. But she's saying that he's going to get out. And I can't remember. I know they it's going to the Supreme Court. But when they were showing it on the news, this lady had been with this man. Well, I say been with him, but she had been, um, going through this whole process with him. I can't remember how many years it's been. And then they showed her house, and she's got this beautiful home, and she shows his closet, with all these clothes that she's already bought him, because in her mind she's saying that he is going to come home.
Oh
And
my
they're
God.
already married. She's already married him. And she's saying in her mind, she's saying he's going to come home. So she's bought all these clothes and all these shoes, and these are nice stuff. This is nice stuff. And she goes out into the garage, and he's got a convertible, some kind of car. She's like, she said, his car is already ready for him to drive. I got his clothes. I got his shoes. I got everything he needs. So when he comes home, and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like what, but yeah, but getting back to me, but
Yeah,
it's
because
a real thing.
you
It happens.
it
To the best.
happens. You said the money I was saving to find another place, I started using to send Sean money for shoes, clothes, and
Yeah.
commissary and daily collect
Mhm,
calls that were
mhm.
astronomical.
Yeah.
This is how birth, blah, blah, blah. And then you eventually did the same thing for Darren.
Yeah. Because that's my man.
Cause that's your man in jail who got 85 years.
I gotta stand by my man.
Yes, there, my no. And then, of course, you eventually break up with him, which
Uh-huh.
was a good thing. And I'm sure
Yeah.
Darren and I proposed to each other. Now,
Yeah.
how the heck? He
Yeah.
submitted the paperwork to the prison and
Mhm.
waited for the approval. Once
Yeah.
everything cleared, we started making plans to get married at
Uh-huh.
the prison
At the prison
chapel.
chapel. Yeah, they approved it. I was gonna go there, and we were gonna get married. And I was gonna wait for him to get out.
Where was Leon?
Oh, Leon and I had we had this off and on thing back and forth. He was dealing with other women. I dealt with other people. But then we always made our rounds back with each other, and it just could. Yeah, it was just
You
during
said,
our
oh,
off
uh, off season.
off
Around
season.
the 8th month mark, the excitement started to wear off. The wear and tear on my
Mhm.
car, all day visits, and long distance phone calls were taking a toll on me. The $300 monthly phone bills and putting money on the books for him and Sean were draining me financially.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Darren requested shrimp, crab cake, seafood pasta, New York style strawberry cheesecake for his Christmas dinner that you paid for. I'm gonna knock you upside. Sorry, your head. Okay, it was Sunday, March 8th, 1992. Hey Joe, I could tell from Gail's somber tone something was wrong. Mr. Howard had died. How did
Mhm.
you feel when your father died? Oh, you
I
said I was angered that it wasn't Bert.
Yeah, and I was a little relieved because he was he had just pretty much hit rock bottom, and he just didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just didn't want him living like that. I couldn't really help him the way I wanted to help him, and I just didn't want to see him out there on the streets like that. So I was relieved. I was sad, but I was relieved. You know.
Chapter 7. Guess what? I'm pregnant. So you and Leon have your second pregnancy
Uh huh.
and your second abortion
Uh huh.
because
Uh huh.
Leon didn't want no kids.
Nope, he sure didn't.
But you had already had two, but was it
Uh-huh.
for you? You just didn't want to have another one without the father there.
No, I didn't. I did. I just wanted to. I had already visualized this what I thought was this perfect life.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a husband. I wanted to have children with my husband. I wanted to have the car and the house and the dog and the whatever the American dream we've been sold, that's what it is. That's what it's supposed to look like. And I just felt like I'm just abnormal because I'm looking at friends and sisters and other people like, okay,
Yeah.
I want that too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you and
Yeah.
Leon, you said y'all needed to take a leave of absence as if y'all were
Hmm.
gonna come back later. Like, I'm taking a
Yeah.
leave of absence from my
For
job,
work.
but
Uh-huh.
we
Uh-huh.
need to take a break from each other
Yeah.
because this is not
Yeah.
working out.
Right.
And then Kiki gets older and begins to look like your mom.
Yeah.
And that caused you pain.
Uh-huh.
I've heard that before, that mothers were mean to the children or child who resembled the one who hurt them the most.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what you did.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
I took my
Mhm.
anger and frustration out on her. I would curse her out if I didn't like the way she sneezed.
Yeah. It
And
didn't
that
take me.
and that hate for your mother manifested toward your baby girl.
Right. It did. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about James.
Oh.
James was pregnant. I'm pregnant. James got you pregnant. James got her pregnant. Pregnancy
Yeah.
5. James got her pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
James is married. And James took your car.
Yeah.
Tell us when you went to the house to get your car. Cause
Well,
y'all, James wasn't gonna give you back the car.
girl, I don't know what just I just so gullible. But before I went to the house, I called because
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
got the car and it was several days, and I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna show up one day with my car, and then I go to work, and my friend, my coworker, she's asking me like, "Why? Where's your car?" And then I told her, I was like, "Yeah, James got my car." And she was like, "When did you get your car?" And I said, "Well, I think it was on a Friday. He picked it up, and it was now Sunday, Monday, whatever day it was." She was like, "And you haven't talked to him?" And I said, "Well, I've been calling, but nobody's answering the phone." And she was like, "Well, call him now." And she's like one of those women who just, she's no
Yeah,
nonsense.
in your face.
Oh yeah. So she was like, call right now. So I'm so scared. I'm like, okay. So I pick up the because our desks were, I sat across from her, and then we had another coworker, one of our friends, and she sat right beside her. So I'm at my desk, but then I'm walking over to an empty desk to call. And she's like, pick up the phone and call right now. And I called his house, and a lady answers the phone. And and I said, then can I speak to James? And she was saying that did she say he was sleeping? Or whatever she said. And I'm trying, and my friend is looking at me, and she's kind of like, telling me to ask, what to say next.
Yeah, yeah.
Next. And I tell the lady, I'm like, well, I said, who are you? And she was like, I'm his wife. And then I was like, she's his wife. And then I said, well, I'm pregnant. This is
You
Joretta. He
6
has my
months.
car. Yeah, I said, he has my car and I'm pregnant. And she was like, oh, you're pregnant. She said, well, I got your car and I'm getting ready to drive it to work. So you can't get it. I said,
What lie did he tell him about the car? He bought one? Oh, you ain't gonna get my car. James bought this car for me. No, it's my car.
oh my goodness. Oh God. I was like, this cannot be happening. I'm not hearing
Child.
this lady. I'm not hearing this lady here.
Oh my God. So the woman driving your car like it's her car. You like, no, no, that's my car.
Right. Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
but you kept that baby though.
Yeah, I did. That was Jamil.
And that's
I did.
Jamil.
Yeah, that's Jamil.
And Jamil is now 21. If I'm
No, he's 28 now.
28 now. Woo.
Mhm,
28. But it was stuck in
mhm,
the 21s, but it's 2021 when y'all had stopped
mhm.
speaking. But now the Lord has put y'all back
Yeah.
together.
Right,
Y'all have
right, right.
reunited and it feels so
Yes, yes,
good.
yes.
Reunited. Yes, child. Y'all is
Uh-huh.
reunited now. So,
Yeah.
so you get your car back. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, y'all got to get the book. I y'all got so Jamil is born.
Jamil. Mhm.
Chapter 8. So, well, one page 141. You are finally getting yourself together.
Mhm.
After Jamil is born. You on the right road, everything is going well, and then you and Leon
Yeah,
can't seem to stay away from each other.
I know.
You said too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around.
Mhm.
Leo Buscaglia. I've
Pascal. Pascal.
Buscalia.
Yeah.
That right there, what you just said. Chapter 8. You and Leon gets married in chapter 8. Why did
Mm.
y'all get married? Why did I get married too?
Oh, just doing stuff, acting on impulse.
Yeah.
Just acting on impulse, not thinking things through, and just going with what sounds good and what feels good at the time, and just
Mm.
thinking that just because you do something, it's just gonna automatically fall into place and it's gonna automatically work. But you're not putting in the work. You're not doing the work. You're just thinking like, okay, you know what? That's like just saying I want to cook a meal and you just throwing in different recipes, I mean different ingredients, and you just throwing stuff in there. You don't know how it's gonna taste. You just say, I want to something you've never done before, but you want to cook something and you don't know and you don't take the time to figure out,
To
okay,
figure it
it
out.
has to be cooked on this temperature, it has to have this in it, and
Right.
yeah,
But y'all only stayed married a year.
yeah, and that was because I had to.
Yeah.
Because I had to stay married before I could file for a divorce.
Because what, 2 days later you was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
Or was
I
it the
knew.
next
Yeah,
day?
and the next day, it was
Yeah.
the next day. I knew when I did it. I knew that I should not have done it. We could have just stayed friends, or we could have just lived together.
Hmm.
But I was just trying to create that perfect, what I thought was perfect family unit.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that, so I was gonna create that, make it happen.
Yeah. And then
Hmm.
Kiki and Ashley gets pregnant.
Hmm. Yeah.
History repeating itself.
Yep. Yep.
How
Hmm.
did you take that? I know
I
you
was
you you kind of got very upset with Kiki.
I was very upset. I was because I expected them to do better. I felt like what I had gone through was a result of my upbringing, and
Mhm.
even I just felt like there were times that I just really didn't know any better.
Right.
I just didn't know any better, but I wanted to create this really great environment. I wanted them to do the things I never had a chance to do. I wanted them to
Right.
have a nice home, where they could come after school and come home to a cooked meal, and they could
Mhm.
do the things in high school that high school students do, go to the games and go to prom and all the fun stuff that you want to do in high school. I didn't get a chance to experience that. So I wanted to have that for them. And I just felt like, okay, I'm sacrificing a lot. I'm forcing myself to be in a relationship with someone who I really truly don't genuinely love. I care about him, but I'm just not in love with him.
Right.
And our relationship started out the way all of the relationships started out, sex.
Right.
It was just sex, and then you have the sex person. Now let me see who you are.
Right.
But when you find out who I really am, you're like, okay, well, this is not you, because you didn't take time. You didn't take the time to get to know me. So I wanted to, and people do that. I know there are families, there are people together that they stay together because of the children and because of
Mhm.
the assets that they
Mhm.
accumulated, and they stay together
Mhm.
for whatever reason. But yeah, so I was very angry that they allowed that to happen, because I we just felt like, okay, here we go again. Like, how, you know,
Mm.
it's just so hard. We're just making it harder on ourselves. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's y'all, we make sacrifices for our children, but staying in bad relationships is not a sacrifice
Uh-huh.
for the children.
No.
It's not. It's not. Now I want to talk about because I know we only have a few more minutes left.
Uh-huh.
You went to school. How you pronounce that word for your skin? It's
Oh, esthetician.
esthetician, which is
Yeah. Uh-huh.
what you do today.
Yeah.
So you went to school, and I
Yeah.
know I skipped you messing around with your son's best friend who was 18. Isn't that at
But
this
he
point?
wasn't, he was my son's friend. He didn't know my son. I
But
met him.
you met him out the street at the
Yeah.
parking lot.
And he befriended my son.
Yeah.
That was the way he manipulated me, because he befriended my
Yes.
son, and my son really liked him.
Yes.
As a
Yes.
matter of fact, they're still friends to this day. They still talk, even though me and him obviously don't have nothing to say to each other.
Right. But y'all have a 15-year-old son together.
We have a 50-year-old son, yeah. And he
Yeah.
was, yeah. Hmm.
You gotta buy the book. You just gotta get the book. But I want to get to this part when you met Clark. And we don't
Yeah.
have to go into details about what Clark
Okay.
was and what y'all did. Y'all got to get the book to read that juice. Okay. That's really not for sharing. But he invested in you
Yeah, he
so
did.
you can get your business.
He
Let's
did.
talk about you getting the business, you and Sean's death, and what did that do to you and where you are today.
Hmm. So, yeah, so Clark and I had a unique situation. We were never intimate,
Right.
um, but we had a unique situation. He had some fetishes and desires that were um, just,
Mm.
yeah, something I had never ever had heard of. But anyway, that's how we became close.
What's that?
But
Shade.
what, 50 Shades of Grey?
It's 50 Shades of Grey,
Yeah,
y'all.
Fifty
It's
Shades of
50
Grey.
Shades of Grey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, that type of situation. But the longer I was around him and the longer we got to know each other, he was, deep down, he was hurt.
Mhm.
And but he was a really good person. And we it was just
He
not
was
about that.
abused too. He was abused too
He was by his mother, yeah.
by his mother, right? Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so we talked, and we had conversations about a lot of stuff. We laughed, we talked about race, we talked about he loved talking about politics. He was somewhat of a historian, so he used to always tell me all this, this stuff of, history. His parents were from Greece, so
Mhm.
he talked a lot about being Greek. And but yeah, we had a really great friendship. I got to know him on a deeper level than what was on the surface when we first
When you
met
start.
each other.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
And then he
So,
gave you $35,000
mhm.
invested. I like to say invested
Invested, yeah.
$35,000 into your
Excuse me.
business so that
Yes.
you could do what you love doing now.
Yeah. Hmm.
'Cause you found your thing. You found
Yeah.
and it wasn't sex, but you found your hands-on thing that was a service that you was getting paid for
Right.
legitimately
Yes.
more than $20. More
Ah,
than $20.
yes. Yes.
Um, and the Lord has shined his light
Yes.
on your life, my friend.
Yes. Yes, he
He said,
has.
"Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed unless
True.
it
It's
is
things.
faced."
Hmm.
And that's chapter 11, James Baldwin.
Hmm.
Uh,
Mhm. Yeah.
and there was another relationship after that. It was Kevin, but it's once you said I was over 50 when, which was just not long ago. I mean, you're just
Uh-huh.
48 now, right?
What? You said I'm how
I mean, 58.
58, yeah.
I'm looking at you. You look 48.
I could be 48.
You can be 48.
So I
Yeah.
could be 48.
He said, I was over 50 when I had the conversation with Bert, and y'all remember
Mhm.
Bert is mom. She had
Mhm.
stopped drinking for years
Mhm.
and would probably be more receptive to talking to me. My first question to her was, Bert, tell me about your childhood.
Mhm. Yeah.
How did you feel asking your mom that question?
I felt really good because by that time I knew I just had to find out like what in the world happened to this lady to make her so angry and so bitter. And of
Yeah.
course, I don't know if you ever watched Iyanla Van Zant's show when she had her show
Oh, yeah.
Fix My Life.
Oh, yes, girl.
That
Fans.
explained,
Love.
yeah, yeah, it explained a lot because
Yeah.
she would always obviously tell the people on there, she would tell them, "What's your mother's story?
With your
What's your
mother's
father's story? Do you know their story?" Because there's always a story.
always a story.
And when you saw on the show when they went back, it was the same behavior.
Yes.
And some obviously I think want to believe that they probably had a breakthrough, but then there are some that just didn't
Yeah.
probably get the help or the answers they needed. But I was just determined because I'm thinking like, okay, this is not normal, it's not right. And I felt good because once she started to open up, I could tell that she really appreciated me asking her
Yeah.
because it was like, okay, she probably felt invisible and no one ever seemed to care. Like, what are you like? Now, my daughter did. My daughter spent a lot of time with her, asking her questions, and
Mhm.
what's your favorite color, and what do you like to do? So she enjoyed answering those questions because no one ever cared. And
Right.
just like people would say, you everyone just wants to matter. We all want to
Yeah.
matter,
Oh,
and
yes.
it's yeah,
Everyone
yeah,
wants to matter.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
know you and your mom have a relationship today.
Well, she passed away. Remember,
Okay.
She passed on April 20th.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, but we did. Yeah, up until yeah, we did. We had a great relationship.
And
Yeah.
it's important that peace is made
Yeah.
in life because we don't
Mhm.
know when.
We don't.
We
We
don't know
don't.
when.
Mm-mm.
Joretta, share with the audience that thing that brought you to this place of peace. What is it that has brought you to this place of peace that you now have today?
There were so many things. So many things. It was one was really building a better relationship with God. And when I say
Mhm.
that was because I felt like I was dealt a really
Bad hand.
effed up hand. And
Mhm.
I look around and I see people who were just, they got life by the tail and they're just having a ball and just seem like nothing ever happens to them. And mine was early on. So I could say, well, these were these things that happened that I didn't, it wasn't a decision that I made.
Mhm.
But once I became closer and I had to have conversations with God myself and I had to listen because going outside of myself trying to find out from people, okay, because I I wanted to heal and to just be at peace so badly that when I tell you I have dealt with just about every type of religion you can think of. I was
Mhm.
there. I was knocking on the doors like, okay, do I need to be a Buddhist or do I need to, Hindu, Baha'i faith, Muslim, whatever it is, like somebody help me so I can feel better.
Yeah.
And I had to do that on my own. I had to create that relationship and know that, okay, no, I have to go to God myself and say, hey, help me, help me,
Yeah.
help me. And just being still and listening, just from all the readings I've done, just from other people who have been through what they've been through. But most importantly is knowing that life is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what thought, I thought that every time I attempted to do something bad happened, as if there were some kind of juju that somebody put on me
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, no, you can't do that. But then I realized, you know what? Life is going to happen. And some of those, well, I won't even say some, I just believe that everything happens when it's supposed to happen, how it's supposed to happen, and the way it's supposed to happen. So, of course, if I made an attempt, and I'll use this as an example, I made an attempt several times to write this book. And then the first time I said I was going to write it was when I was diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis. And out of all places, I have it all over. It's all over. But out of all places, it attacked my hands. And my hands swelled up to the size of like a boxing glove.
Wow.
And I could not even tear off a piece of toilet paper.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, okay, now I'm trying to write this book and I can't even use what I need, my fingers. Like, how is that happening when all these years I was fine? But that just meant, and I stopped. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's not supposed to happen. And then I made an attempt to do it again. And my son got into some trouble. And I was like, okay, I can't do it now because I got to stop and focus on him. But I was thinking, okay, after that, I was like, okay, you know what? Those things may have been preordained to happen at that time. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But because I'm doing something for myself, because I would say, okay, whenever I write this book, nobody can get sick, nobody can go to jail, nobody can die.
Right. No life traumas. Gotta stay focused.
But knowing that, okay, things are still going to happen, life is going to keep going, and we have to still do whatever it is we're supposed to do. Because that's like when I first started, I was so afraid to drive because I didn't get exposed to driving, probably like you and most of my peers learned to drive, as a teenager. And when I came to Atlanta was when I first learned how to drive, but I was already 21, 22 or something like that. But even when I got my license, I was still afraid to drive because I was like, I just can't get out there on the interstate. I'm too afraid. So the first time I had to drive, and that was when I was with Jessie and I used her car before I got my car. And she told me I could take her car to work because I had to be at work sometimes on Sundays. And I had to drive from Roswell to downtown Atlanta. So that meant I had to get on Interstate 4. I had to get on 400 to 75. And every time a car got behind me, I would pull over. Because I was like, I don't want anybody following me.
Right.
I don't want any cars behind me. So every time a car got behind me, I pull over. So I would leave home. If I had to be work at 7:00 in the morning, I would leave the house at probably like 4. Because I knew that I was going to keep pulling over if a car got behind me. And so I allowed myself that much time to get to work.
Gee whiz. Funny now, right?
But I say all that because the point that I'm trying to make is that if every time something happens in our lives and we pull over, we'll never get where we're going. We'll never get where we're going.
Girl, say that again.
If every time something happens in our lives and we pull over, we will never get where we're going. So I just said, hey, life is going to happen and we'll get through it. And, we have to keep going. And so that all of those things brought me to where I am now. And just really knowing that, I just now truly, genuinely love myself. I love people because that's what God is. God is love. And that's really,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
My husband wrote a song, God is Love.
Oh, really?
I might have to put it at the end of this.
Oh, yeah, do that.
Because God is love.
God is love. Yeah.
And he loves us so much. He wants us to depend on him, which means we're going to have to go through some things.
Yeah.
In order to depend on him. But the Bible reminds us that he will not put more on us than we can bear.
Right.
And we all have a testimony to share.
Yes.
And we are overcomers by the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony, and the blood of the Lamb. And I believe you sharing your story has been a part of your overcoming as well, because nothing's hidden anymore.
No.
Everything is out, however y'all feel about it, y'all feel about it, your own people, however. But this is Joe's story. This is her song. And she's praising the Savior all the day long. There's a song for everything, This has been amazing. Thank you, my sister, once again, y'all. Go get Joe's book. There are so much we did talk about. We would be in 4 hours trying to go through everything.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
But we want y'all to get the book, support Joe. Man, this story, I want to read the book again. I did Cliff Notes on it 2 weeks ago. But it's just so good. It's just so good, Joe. And I ain't just saying because you're my classmate, you're my friend, I like you. But the book is good. A real true story, not fiction of survival and triumph. And I thank God for you. I thank you for agreeing to come on the show and to share your life with us,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I pray that the Lord would continue to use you. You would continue to use your voice. You would continue to write. Whatever your next project is, you let me know. We're going to have you back,
Okay.
Shoot, we might have to have a little forum when we go back to talk about, how do we get through trauma to get to our joy? And I like this. If every time something happens in our lives and we pull over, we'll never get where we're going. That's a good place to pray. Lord, we thank you today. We honor your name. We praise you, Father. We thank you for your love and your grace. We thank you for your peace. We thank you for this time of sharing. We thank you for JoJo being free, Lord, and sharing her story of triumph. We thank you for what you're doing in her life. Lord, continue to bless her, continue to open doors for her, open windows, bless her business, her children, Lord, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, if there are any. We ask you just to keep your arms of protection over her. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Now we gonna look, Joe. We gonna say bye together. Y'all go make it a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week.
Yes.
And as I always say, a centered mind is a centered soul.
Yeah.
Be blessed.
Thank you.
Now, you go. Make it a wonderful, wonderful day. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social media outlets. Just Google my name and you'll find me there. You will find me there. Also, don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday on Facebook to my Lisa 6 and 3. 6 o'clock, 3 minutes of morning motivation for you to get you throughout your day. Now, remember this one thing I always say. A centered soul is a centered mind. Be blessed.